Hey guys, it's Alan Wobbler here, and in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about how you can use video testimonials to increase trust, reduce skepticism, and ultimately increase your sales conversion rate when it comes to working with new clients. So first things first, let's talk about what are video testimonials. So video testimonial is essentially an experience with your client where they're talking about where they're at before working with you, what the process looked like, and where they're at now in a video format. So there's two types of video testimonials you can do. One is you can do a snippet version. And so a snippet version is like someone who's just got on their phone and they've just gone, hey, I just want to tell people X, Y, Z. Okay. And it's just them on that recording. It's usually a short video, maybe 30 seconds, could be longer. And then you have here an interview style. And that's where you are literally on the video with the client, asking them questions and just having a conversation about the experience. And so within video, you also have two different types. So you have in person, which is my absolute favorite to do. And I strongly recommend that you guys always opt for this one if you can. And then you have online or virtual. So virtual is where you've jumped on like a Zoom or a Teams meeting, and it's just you having a conversation with them, and then you're asking them a series of questions. And I'm going to go into more detail on this in a moment as well. The reason I always like to go with in person is because it just comes across more real. It's more engaging to watch. And you can really tell the difference between in person or if you're just talking in a virtual format. So I would always say, if you cannot for in person, let's say if you're a financial advice firm or a buyer's agent, you've got clients in the same state or they're close to you, I would always go for the in-person interview style if you can. It may take you a little bit of time to set up, to drive there back and forth, but it's one asset which is going to provide a lot more leverage. And if you get you just one extra deal because of it, then that's a win in my eyes. So we talked about the different types. Within virtual, you've got, Zoom or Teams. So you use just whichever native video software that you use. I know for Google Meets, I don't believe they have an in-house recorder. So you'll need a note-taking tool like Fathom.ai or any other note-taking tool that just does recordings. And I can put a link to it in the description as well. You can take a look. Or if you're using Teams, I believe Teams has an in-house recording functionality. So you can just hit record, have that conversation, and you're good to go, essentially, as well. Now, the next thing is, how are these different to written testimonials? So it's pretty evident to some degree, but realistically speaking, what you can't get so much so in written, where you can get in video, is there's just emotion. Like, you think about it, like if you're reading a piece of text, it's open to interpretation. Yes, there are some words which are static and they have a definitive meaning to them. But when you're watching a video, there's just so much more that you can capture that's just not said from that experience. And that just puts clients and prospects more at ease. It makes them feel more safe. It gives them more confidence and more trust when it comes to working with you. And that's ultimately what we want. We want you to use these as assets so that you can use these to help as many clients as you physically can, okay? Build more trust, reduce skepticism, and ultimately close more deals. So that's it. It's the emotion. There's also the fact that it's visual as well. And the fact that when you're in, let's say, an interview style, there's just so many questions that you can get, so much more that you can obtain in a video testimonial as opposed to doing written as well. So hopefully that's making sense. Why I always want you to do video testimonials where you can, okay, in every single instance where possible, and preferably do an interview style and in person as well. If someone prompts to do a snippet for you, then they can. And then, of course, there are some people that might be a little bit camera shy and just absolutely insist that they don't want to do video. And then you can staircase down to do the written one, like a Google review or just a written one, preferably. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, this is all good. So we've gone through the video testimonial, interview, in person where you can, or virtual if necessary, the benefits of it. But how do you actually go about getting these testimonials? Like some of these clients that you've worked with and you're working with, you might not have spoken to in the last 3 or 6 months. And so therefore, just reaching out to them for the purpose of getting one, just asking them straight off the bat may seem a little bit intimidating. And I totally understand that. So I'm going to give you a process which is really simple, really easy that you can use. So what you want to do is you want to have some kind of script that you use where in that script, you want to firstly acknowledge and say, hey, hope you're doing really well. You want to acknowledge some kind of event or trigger, okay, within your business that's prompted you to go out and take action. So for example, one thing that I do with my clients is I let them know when we draft up these texts and say, hey, existing client, okay, this is them sending it to their clients. I'm in the process of working with a marketing or a business consultant who is helping me improve my online presence. And one of the things they've mentioned is for me to get video testimonials from my best clients. When that came to mind and he mentioned that, I thought of you and all the great work that we've done in the past. And so I would love to just get on a 15-minute call with you, ask you some questions about your experience, and use that to inspire the next group of people who are ready to build wealth or take that next step in the decision. Would you be free for a call sometime next week for 30 minutes? Something like that. So hopefully that's making sense. So you want to firstly intro, you want to give them context, okay, in terms of what event has occurred that's triggered for you to send the message in the first place. And feel free to use me. If you're watching this, even if we haven't met, just use my name and I'll back you. No stress. So you use my details and say that it was me. Once you've done that, you mention why you've reached out and then acknowledge the great work that you've done so far and then how it will benefit them and the next generation of people. Okay, people always want to help where they can as well. And so this has had a really high response rate. On average, I did this last week for a client and they had 8 people to send it to and we booked in 6 testimonials. So it works really well. And you send this over text, SMS. I'll also put a link to a basic script that you can use down below in the description and feel free to copy that, appropriate it and send it out. Once you send out the first text, then you'll send out the rest and you'll be amazed the response that you get. And when people reply, what you then want to do is want to say, okay, no worries. And you just want to book them in for a time. You want to be proactive, book them in and just have that in their calendar. If you go back and forth asking, when are you free? It's just going to add friction and it'll just get pushed out really easy. So hopefully that makes sense. So that's the script bit that you copy and paste that and send that out via text to everyone. Okay, what software to use? I mentioned about the virtual model. That's probably the one that you use the software for predominantly. If it's a snippet, they can just do a recording on their phone. So that's not a problem. They just use their phone and just do a quick recording and send it to you. If it's a virtual one, you use either Teams, Zoom, or Google Meets, whichever one that's easiest for you. And you'll have a note-taking tool like Fathom. What's important to note when it comes to doing virtuals, okay, if you're using an external note-taking tool, you know when you've gone on video and you see like a gallery format where X participant and then you've got the third person as a participant, which might be the Fathom or something, you want to have it so that instead of a gallery view, you want it to be a spotlight view. And by spotlight view, it means it just shows one person's window at a particular time. Because what's going to happen is once you go back and look at this video, you're just going to see this third-party participant in the background, and it's just going to deter away from the story or the conversation that you guys are actually having. So hopefully that's making sense what I'm saying. So if you're using it in a virtual and you're doing a virtual interview style, you're using a note-taking tool, you just want to make sure that you have it on spotlight view so that it's just showing these windows and it doesn't show this third-party participant. Otherwise, if you're using a Teams, then you can just do a straight recording. It'll save to, I believe, a OneDrive or your desktop, and then you can go ahead and use it from them. So hopefully that's making sense so far. How to conduct them. This is a really good question. You want to have just a high-level overview. You just want to have a process. You want to have a set of questions. You want to have it so that people you highlight and you do an intro, so people introduce themselves. People talk about who they are, their background. If you're doing this for B2C customers, let's say you're a financial advice business and you're doing this for your existing clients, then they're B2C. So they talk about either their role, job title, occupation. They'll mention those things. And then from then, you want them to talk about what their previous situation was like before they started working with you. If it's retirement planning, I was working, I didn't know exactly. I just had an industry fund. It was just there in the background. I didn't really pay much attention to it. I didn't really know much about it. But then I had a conversation with someone and I realized that I'm going to retire in a few years and I need to do something about it. I didn't pay much attention to it. And that's when I came across yourself. So you want them to talk about their previous experience, any challenges, any pain points, any frustration. The more you can get here, the better. You just don't want to overdo it. And then what was their impression of yourself, of your business when they worked with you? Or is there anything that stood out about this business, particularly when they went about their journey? They might have spoken to a few different advisors in the past or a few different buyer's agents. What specifically stood out about you, your business, that when they were going through the process? And they may be like, okay, well, I was referred to you, or I saw that you specialized in retirement planning, or I saw that you were SMSF accredited, or I saw that you've been in business for X amount of years. Hopefully, it'll get to a point where they'll say, okay, what stood out is the fact that you had these video testimonials. You had a lot of trust. So it'll get to a stage where this is going to create a flywheel effect for you, which will give you assets that you'll continue to use in future, and it'll actually come up as well. So we got intro, what their previous situation was, what stood out to them about working with you, and then what's the result or what's their current position that they're in as a result of working with you. It might be that they've got peace of mind, might be more clarity. If possible, you want more tangible numbers, okay? So it could be like an increase in their balance. It could be more peace of mind, clarity. It could be the time shaved off in terms of time frame it would take before they're able to retire. Hopefully that's starting to make sense. So intro, the current position, previous situation before working with you, overall impression, what stood out to you, and then what their future situation looks like, and then what current situation, and then their plans for the future. So what I will do is I will try and see if I can put a list of questions for you to ask. What's super important is I don't want you to be too rigid with this. Where usually people go wrong is that they're too rigid with it, and it kind of defeats the whole purpose of doing an interview. You want it to be candid, but you want to have some kind of structure in place. So I will attach a series of questions for you, but I don't want you to do it religiously, okay? I want you to know it and have a structure and just have a basic outline, but really be in the moment with your client. So one thing that's super important to note is that you want it to be all about the client. It's not about you, it's about them. And you want to shine a big bright light on them. By shining a light on others, you shine a light on yourself. And that's what I want for you. I want you to give them all the love and attention that they deserve because they took the leap and they're working with you. And in turn, other people will talk about you. They'll do really well. I really, really, really want you to focus on this. I don't want you to be too rigid. I talked about focusing on the person. How long should they go for? Okay, another good question. What I'd say is always better to have more than less. Some of these interviews that I've done with clients, they go for 30 minutes. I've seen some that go for an hour. I've also seen some that go for 2-3 minutes. There's no hard and fast rule. If you think about the people who are going to watch these, there'll be people who are going to do a deep amount of research on you. The more context that you can give them, the more hang time that they spend, the more they'll trust you and it'll benefit you positively. So not time limit, just enough time. By the end of it, you've got nothing left to say, and that makes complete sense. And how do you edit them afterwards? That's another good question. So you can use a tool which I personally use, which is called Gling.ai. It is a tool that uses AI. It takes your video and then it converts it to a transcript, and then it puts it into Gling, and then you can edit the text here on the left. And then as you edit and sort of cut out the text, it'll trim the video automatically. It also improves audio quality. This video that I'm showing you right now is edited in Gling. Fantastic tool. Big fan of it. Highly recommend it. Not affiliated with it, by the way. Yeah, Gling.ai. Really, really good. There's also other ones that you can use like Descript. There's also iMovie. There's a few others as well. Gling's a good place to start. And what's the result of doing all this activity? Remember, we're focusing on the outcome. We want to build high quality, evergreen assets that produce a high amount of leverage. And we want to use these to build trust, reduce skepticism, and improve our conversion rate. Ultimately, that's what it's all about. We want to close more deals. We want to help more customers. That's why we're here. So hopefully all this is starting to make sense. If you'd like to see a system like this that incorporates you incorporating video testimonials, using it with a consistent stream of quality leads and appointments that are booked into your calendar, and getting help with getting all this stuff built out, there should be a link in the description you can use to book a call. It's absolutely fine. You don't have to. Otherwise, I hope this has given you some context in terms of everything to do with video testimonials. I know I've covered quite a lot of info. We covered the different types, being either just a snippet or interview. I covered the difference between doing in-person and virtual, where you always want to do in-person and then go to virtual. And if you can't, go to snippet. And if you can't, go to written. I talked about the different softwares that you can use as well. I talked about the considerations if you choose to do virtual. Just make sure that you have that spotlight mode enabled as well. I talked about the benefits of doing video testimonials in the first place, how there's just a focus on emotions and the visual aspect of it. I gave you a script that you can use, just an outline. I'll put it in the description below. And also check out Gling.ai for editing your videos. There should be a couple of YouTube videos on it. Very easy, very simple to use. This video is edited on Gling. Otherwise, I really appreciate your time. My name is Alan Watmore. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will speak to you soon.